You don't move to Thailand for wild nightlife. You move to Thailand because your life back home has the structural integrity of a house built on a swamp. You're 28 and you've got a marketing degree that qualifies you for jobs that pay just enough to keep you exactly where you are. A lease on a studio apartment where the heating works 3 months out of 12, and a dating history so unremarkable your friend stopped asking. Your last relationship ended when she said she needed space, which turned out to be code for she needed space specifically occupied by someone who wasn't you. Your mum asks what the plan is every Sunday. You tell her you're figuring it out. You've been figuring it out for 6 years, so you buy a one-way ticket to Bangkok with $2,000 in savings, a backpack full of wrinkled shirts, and the confidence of a man whose backup plan is that there is no backup plan. Thailand sounds good, warm, cheap, far enough away that nobody back home can watch you fail in real time. You land at Suvarnabhumi at 2 a.m, and the humidity hits you like stepping into someone's mouth. The airport smells like disinfectant and fried dough. You take a taxi into the city and the driver doesn't speak English and you don't speak Thai, so you both just sit there in mutual understanding that this ride costs whatever he says it costs. Through the window, Bangkok unfolds in layers. Highways stacked on highways, neon signs in scripts you can't read, 7-Elevens every 40 meters glowing like little temples of air conditioning. The city is awake at 3 a.m. and it doesn't care that you just got here. Your apartment is in On Nut, a neighborhood the expat forums described as authentic, which you now understand means far from anything tourists want to see. It's a 6th-floor studio with a bed, a mini fridge, and a bathroom so small you have to step into the shower to close the door. The walls are thin enough that you can hear your neighbor's phone conversations, his cooking, and his very committed relationship with a box fan that runs 24 hours a day. The rent is 8,000 baht a month. That's $230. Back home, that wouldn't cover your parking spot. The first week is a blur of jet lag and poor decisions. You eat street food because it's cheap and because the old woman at the corner cart smiles at you like she's known you forever. Pad krapper with a fried egg, 40 baht. You eat it standing under a tarp while motorbikes scream past and the grease runs down your wrist, and it's the best thing you've tasted in months. You ride the BTS during rush hour and get compressed into a train car with 500 other people, and you learn that personal space is a Western concept. You walk through markets that smell like fish and incense and frying garlic. You see monks in orange robes collecting alms at dawn. You see shrines tucked between 7-Elevens where people leave Fanta and flower garlands for spirits you don't understand. This isn't the Thailand you saw on Instagram. That version had beaches and fire dancers and cocktails and coconuts. This version has exhaust fumes and skinny dogs sleeping on sidewalks and old men sitting shirtless outside shophouses playing cards in the heat. It's louder, hotter, more real, and lonelier than you expected. Because here's what nobody tells you about moving halfway across the world to start over. You're still you when you get there, the same anxieties, the same bad habits, the same voice in your head that said you weren't good enough back home, except now it has new material. You can't read the signs. You can't speak the language. You stand in line at 7-Eleven holding 3 items you're not sure how to ask for, and the teenager behind the counter looks at you with the patient exhaustion of someone who deals with people like you all day. You're teaching English at a language school in Asok. The pay is 45,000 baht a month, which sounds like a lot until you realize it's about $1,300, and your student loans don't care what currency you're earning. The school is a 3-room operation above a phone repair shop. Your students are teenagers preparing for university exams and businessmen who need English for meetings they'll have in Singapore. They're polite. They call you teacher even though you're clearly just a guy with a bachelor's degree and a pulse. You stand in front of a whiteboard and teach verb tenses you barely remember, and everyone nods and writes things down, and you have no idea if any of this is helping. After class, you go back to your apartment and lie on the bed under the fan and scroll through your phone. Your friends back home are getting engaged, buying houses, posting pictures of vacations they saved up for. You're in Thailand, which should feel like an adventure, but mostly it feels like you're hiding. So you download the apps, Tinder, Bumble, Thai Friendly. You tell yourself it's to meet people, make connections, practice your Thai. But really, you're just lonely, and the loneliness is starting to make the walls of your studio feel closer than they are. You swipe, you match, you message. The conversations are the same everywhere. Where are you from? How long have you been here? Do you like Thailand? Then you match with someone named Ploy. Her profile shows her at a night market holding a bag of mango sticky rice. Another photo at a temple, one with friends at a rooftop bar. She's pretty in a way that makes you check twice to make sure this is real. She messages first. She asks what you're doing in Bangkok. You tell her you're teaching English and figuring things out. She says that sounds nice. She asks if you want to get coffee. You say yes before you can overthink it. But then you start overthinking it anyway, because you've heard the stories. Every expat forum, every Reddit thread, every drunk guy at a bar in Sukhumvit who's been here 3 months and thinks he's an authority. They all say the same thing with the same smug certainty. Be careful. You never know. Check the hands. Check the voice. Look for an Adam's apple. Thailand isn't what you think. And now you're sitting in your apartment staring at Ploy's photos, trying to find clues that aren't there. You meet Ploy at a cafe in Phrom Phong. She arrives exactly on time wearing jeans and a white shirt, and when she smiles it reaches her eyes in a way that makes you forget half of what you rehearsed to say. You talk about nothing important. Her job at a marketing firm, your students who can't pronounce the word comfortable, the best tam in the city. She laughs at something you say and you're not even sure it was meant to be funny, but you'll take it. 2 hours pass like 20 minutes. When you leave, she suggests meeting again. You say yes. You walk back to your apartment feeling lighter than you have in months, and then you get home and the paranoia crawls back in like mold. You start analysing everything. Her voice. Is it too deep? You replay conversations in your head, listening for frequency shifts that probably don't exist. Her hands. You Google average hand sizes by gender at 2 a.m, like a detective investigating a crime that hasn't happened. Her photos. You zoom in on her jawline, her shoulders, her neck, looking for evidence of something you're not even sure you'd recognise. Every forum you read makes it worse. They all say the same thing with absolute authority built on absolutely nothing. You can always tell, except when you can't. The ones who pass are the dangerous ones, as if danger is the right word for someone just trying to exist. You meet her 3 more times. A night market, a movie, dinner near her place. Each time she's just herself. Funny, sharp, a little sarcastic in a way that keeps you on your toes. She talks about her family in Udon Thani, her younger brother who's studying engineering, her mother who calls twice a day to make sure she's eating. Normal details, human details, but the voice in your head won't shut up. What if the forums are right? What if you're the idiot who didn't see it coming? What if she tells you later and you have to process it in real time while pretending you're fine? You hate that you're thinking this way. You hate that you've become the kind of person who reduces someone to a checklist of biological markers. But the doubt sits in your chest like a stone and you can't dislodge it. One night she invites you to her apartment. It's small and neat with plants on the windowsill and a bookshelf full of Thai novels you can't read. She makes tea. You sit on her couch and talk about a documentary she watched about ocean pollution. It's easy, comfortable. Then she leans in and kisses you. It's soft and deliberate, and for about 5 seconds your brain shuts up entirely. Then it roars back. This is the moment. This is where you find out. Your body tenses without permission. She pulls back and looks at you with a confusion that's starting to shade into hurt. She asks if you're okay. You say yes, but your voice cracks on the single syllable. She sits back. The space between you is suddenly 3 feet wider. She asks what's wrong. You can't answer because the truth is humiliating. You've been interrogating her existence in your head for 2 weeks, based on garbage you read online from men who treat Thailand like a zoo. She figures it out. You see it happen in her face, the confusion turning into recognition, turning into something cold. She asks quietly if you thought she was trans. You don't answer fast enough. The silence is an answer. She stands up. She tells you to leave. Not angry, just tired. Like this has happened before. Like she's done explaining herself to people who are supposed to see her as human first. You try to apologize, but the words are ash. You leave her apartment and walk through the Bangkok night hating yourself in a way that feels new and specifically earned. You don't hear from her again. You send one message apologizing. She doesn't respond. You think about sending another and then realize that would just be for you, to make yourself feel better, to offload guilt onto someone you already hurt. So you don't. You sit with it instead. The shame. The recognition that you became exactly the kind of person you thought you weren't. The kind who lets fear turn another person into a question mark. Weeks pass. You keep teaching. Keep eating at the same street stalls. Keep lying in your apartment under the fan that never quite cools the room. But something shifted. Not just with Ploy, with the whole city. You start seeing it differently. The women working at 7-Eleven, the bartender who remembers your order, your students. They're not characters in some expat fantasy. They're just people trying to get through the day like you are. And the ones you were taught to be afraid of, they're not dangerous. They're just existing in a place that demands constant justification for that existence. The danger was never them. It was you, your assumptions, your need to sort people into categories that made sense to you, your willingness to let strangers on the internet tell you who to trust. You think about Ploy sometimes, wonder if she's still at that marketing firm, if she still gets calls from her mother twice a day, if she's met someone who didn't make her explain herself before she'd even finished her tea. You hope she has. You hope he's better than you were. You stay in Bangkok another 6 months. Eventually you leave, not because of Ploy, not because Thailand failed you, because you realize running from yourself doesn't work when you bring yourself along for the trip. You land back home and your mother picks you up at the airport and asks if you figured things out. You tell her you're working on it, which is the first honest thing you've said in a while. Thailand didn't change you. It just showed you who you already were, a guy so afraid of being fooled that he fooled himself into thinking fear was wisdom. The real trick isn't spotting danger in a city of 8 million people. It's recognizing it when it's sitting in your own head, whispering that everyone else is the problem. You never find out if Ploy was trans. It doesn't matter. It never mattered. What mattered was that she was kind, and you met that kindness with suspicion dressed up as caution. Some lessons don't come with redemption arcs. Sometimes you just learn you were wrong and the person you wronged doesn't owe you forgiveness. You carry that. Not as punishment, as information. The kind that might stop you from making the same mistake when the next person is kind enough to let you in. You don't come to Thailand for wild nightlife. You come because you're broken and you think distance will fix what's actually just architecture. The neon signs and cheap beer and easy conversations, they're just set dressing for the same tired play you've been performing since you were old enough to disappoint people. The nightlife exists. The bars packed with bodies and bass lines that rattle your sternum. The rooftop clubs where bottle service costs a month's rent and everyone's pretending their life is a music video. The go-go bars on Soy Cowboy where men with dead eyes pay women with deader smiles to pretend attraction is transactional and simple. It's all there. But it's not why you came, and it's not what breaks you. What breaks you is simpler. It's standing in a 7-Eleven at 3 a.m. buying instant noodles and realizing the fluorescent lights are the same frequency as the ones back home. It's the moment you understand that geography can't outrun psychology, that the person you were trying to escape bought the same ticket and unpacked in the same apartment and whispers the same poison every night while the fan spins overhead doing nothing. Thailand doesn't owe you transformation. The temples with their golden spires and incense smoke don't exist to give your life meaning. The street food vendors aren't sages. The bar girls aren't therapists. The men drinking singer at outdoor tables at noon aren't philosophers. They're all just trying to get through the day with whatever tools they've got, same as you, same as everyone who ever convinced themselves that somewhere else would be different because they'd be different there. You came for wild nightlife. You found a mirror with better lighting and worse consequences. That's the whole story. Everything else is just details you'll rearrange later to make it sound like you learned something.